Ryan, what bourbon should I pour?
Um, uh, Jesus.
Ryan, what bourbon should I pour?
Um, just, just go ahead and
I just did.
am I good to use the link for the thing that you scheduled for 6:35?
Oh shit. Um, Let me fix one thing. Yes, now you can share.
What bourbon should you pour? Do you have Eagle Rare?
I do.
Do you have Buffalo Trace?
I do, but it's not opened.
Oh, well, yeah, don't pour that one then. What out of what like other Kentucky thing do you have?
Ooh, I
It's a hard
have.
question for me to answer because I don't know what you have.
Or I've got a new riff. I have Metallica Blackened and Benchmark, but that's not great.
Hmm. Clearly new riff.
I have rye. I have a variety of more ryes from Mammoth and from Rittenhouse Bottled and Bond. I think New Riff is the move.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to the Warrior House Bourbon channel.
We're so glad you could join us.
Okie dokie. Copy that video link. Post it on X.
Okay. That has been posted. Close that. Wow. Meet the phone. And I am ready when you have that posted and when you have hit the record button.
Posted. Do not disturb. And let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Warrior House podcast, where Warrior Pride lives. I'm your host, Ryan Reingart, joined by my co-host, Mike Sangster. Thank you for joining us on episode 86 of the Warrior House podcast. Sangster, it seems like we skipped an episode number. What happened?
I think something's coming up.
Yeah, we got a couple interviews we got to get out there, and because we're very much at the start into tennis season now, we had a chance to talk with two different coaches over the last couple of weeks. We had Brian Morrow and we had Yasha Moore, both of our Wayne State tennis teams. So we want to get those interviews out. So we're going to have episode 85 is going to be exclusively interviews. You'll be seeing that one. By the time you're hearing this podcast, it's probably already out, but that'll probably be out on like Tuesday, February 4th. And then this episode will be out shortly after. So that's why this is episode 86. And the name of this episode is going to be a really fun one because baseball is upon us, Sangster. And that's like kind of hard to wrap my head around.
Yeah, it's a little cold for baseball right here, but luckily Wayne State's not playing in that.
They are not. So since it is still cold up here, though, we have the luxury of having a very nice field house. And by that I mean we have a sport that's played inside. So we get basketball. That's our main sport right now.
Yes.
So as per usual, let's start out with some basketball. So our women's basketball team last Thursday were out in Indiana to take on Purdue Northwest. And this was that first game of an away road trip. And we said this is the one they had to have. And they heard us and they said, we got you guys. And they went and won 88-59. Sangster, can you believe that?
Yeah, I can actually. Purdue Northwest is they're not great, and that
Yeah,
they
they're
did manage
roughing
to
it.
get no, they did manage to get two GLIAC wins. I'm not sure who they got them against. Wayne State blew them out at home, and they did likewise in Hammond, Indiana. Your leading scores for this game, Taylor Thompson had 22 points. McKenna Ferguson not too far behind, 21 points. And Gabby Luchka had 14.
Yeah, really balanced scoring attack in this one. I feel like this has to be at least even dating back to the game that Gabby Luchka put up 30 points. Even that one was not just only the Gabby Luchka show. So this team has really balanced things out, and I like seeing it because we're going to have a similar story here as the Saturday game. We start talking about that one. The Wayne State team headed up to Wisconsin to take on Wisconsin Parkside, and we won that one 73-64. And in this one, Taylor Thompson, McKenna Ferguson, and Gabby Luchka all in double digits. Really good stuff there. It's what you want to see. I love seeing one player go off and put up a bunch of points. But when you see a lot of players doing it and a couple different names here and there, but at this point it's the usual suspects. They're just really all showing up every game. That's why this women's team is kind of on a little bit of a run right now, it seems like.
Yeah, they're really starting to show out in the GLIAC, climb those standings, at least keep pace. Uh, Big note here is that Shea Tripp did have a double-double, 18 points, 10 rebounds. Uh, Also, a name that we saw that I don't think we've said a whole lot about her too much is JC Tubergen, transfer out of Bowling Green. She had a few clutch three-pointers, I believe, kind of in the middle of the game. We were watching on the cell phone at the Cruise game. She puts up 8 points in this one.
Yeah, she hit some big ones. I know it was a little hard watching on a phone. I'm like, I don't remember who is that? Who just shot that one? And it was her a couple of times in this. So really nice to see her get 23 minutes as well. That's some meaningful minutes there. I mean, it looks like Shea Tripp played the whole game, all 40 minutes. So,
Yep.
you know, pretty impressive there. But yeah, across the board, just really good stuff in that game. Not much to complain about. I like to complain about turnovers. I'm not going to complain
And
about turnovers. In both of these games, they got 13 turnovers. That's below their average by a
yeah,
pretty good amount.
yeah, I think they've been tightening that up over the past couple of games. Something else you don't really catch on your phone, Wayne State's second quarter. They scored 21 points. They let Parkside score 5. Single
Yeah.
digits again. And the second half, it was actually a little more even than the first half, but Wayne State was able to ride this one out. 50% 3-point shooting on the day, just under 50% overall. If there's one complaint you can have, it's that free throws were not exceptional. 9 for 13, just under 70%. If you could tighten that one up in a tighter game, that might have hurt you, but this one Wayne State was able to pull it out in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yeah, so big props there to the women's basketball team. It's what they needed to do. We talk about. I'm going to have a little bit more on this away series thing here, and just as we get into the men's basketball team. But coming away from a conference weekend where you had two straight away games, not to get too much into it, Sangster, but seeing like Michigan State go out to USC, a team that when you look at the standings, Michigan State should be able to win. One, that's a really far road trip for them, but they don't end up winning that one. Those are really hard games to win, and if you get that one, that to me feels even bigger than like couple or a team that's a few spots lower in the standings, them coming to your home court and beating them there. I think you take the away win as often as you can. So to be able to come back two straight wins away is fantastic for them. This team is really kind of finding their groove right now. And one of the things we said early on in the season is we don't really know what the culture of this team is going to be. It certainly feels like they found something, and it's really working for them right now. And I'm very happy to see it.
Yeah, same here. Good win, good series on the road, especially these are the teams that are some of the biggest road trips that you get alongside the UP road trips. Now the addition with Roosevelt that is still coming up, but to be able to go on the roads, got these wins, a sweep on the west side of the conference. Good stuff from the women's team.
Yeah, I'm looking over at the men's basketball team. Same opponents Thursday. They were at Purdue Northwest. They got off to a great start in this weekend. They get that win 73-69. Thanks to you say it best. Crit don't quit in this one. They really, really fought this one through all the way to the very end. I mean, you look at it, Wayne State had to outscore Purdue Northwest 37-36 to get the win here. Like straight through this whole game, it was a close one. And Purdue Northwest, you look at their standings, you look at some of their stats, you look at all that, not they're just not having a great year. Like I'll just say how it is. When you look at those standings, they are not having a great year. But you're on their home court and they're looking at you saying, "Hey, we can get our second conference win of the season." And they gave Wayne State everything they needed to. And Wayne State prevailed in this one. I said it last week. I'll say it again. I will never complain about a win. I will not complain that, oh, I wish it could have been better. Nope, it's a win. It's a win, and that's what I want.
Exactly. And this is the first time that Wayne State has won in Hammond since Purdue Northwest joined the GLIAC all the way back in 2017. I didn't think it was that long ago, but it certainly is. And so great job by the Warriors, the leading scorers here. I remember mentioning the last time that Wayne State played Purdue Northwest, they didn't have Tamario Adley. You could say that they missed him. He had 20 points in this game. Again, not to be outdone. Teammate Rob Lee Jr. had 17. Carmelo Harris had 13 points. And Jordan Briggs had 10 by himself, too. So good stuff from these guys. No double-double. I don't think we've had a men's double-double this year, maybe early on against some non-conference opponents. But good stuff also from the three-point line, 47%, 8 for 17. That's the kind of stuff you really need to see from this Wayne State team if they're going to go places.
Yeah, this was a very guard-driven game, and I think that's something we've seen a lot more. And I made a comment on that in the last episode, in episode 84, kind of talking about what are the forwards doing for Wayne State, what are the centers doing for Wayne State, what does that inside game look like? I'll be honest with you, it's lacking a little bit, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing when I look at how this game played out, because when you see Ray Williams only put up 2 shots, he's one of your forwards. When you see Calvin Tomaclo put up only 3 shots, he's one of your forwards. Carlos Paul got a lot of minutes in there, ended up putting up 9 shots, goes 4 for 9. Pretty decent day for him. But after that, you got like Tamario Adley, Rob Lee Jr., Carmelo Harris. Those were your guys that got up most of the shots. Fine and dandy. However you got to win the game, whatever's happening there, you make it happen. But I think it is just a little bit interesting seeing that, man, those shots were not getting up for Wayne State. And maybe that's part of the guard play, maybe that's part of the defensive scheme that they were showing up, or just what they wanted to do. Wayne State, that is how they wanted to attack this game, just led them to say, get inside, get in the paint, kick it right back out, and get a shot up. So hard to say exactly what happened in this one. But again, we got the win in this one, Sangster.
Yep. Unfortunately, it didn't go quite that way at the game against Parkside. Wayne State unfortunately drops this one 80-63. Another one of those series where didn't they have a 500 series the last time out around?
The home series, yes. They did.
Yeah. It's kind of disappointing that the 3-point shooting wasn't quite what it was in the previous game. But overall, Wayne State didn't play poorly, at least if you look at the stats. But compared to Parkside, Parkside was able to get the win. And you had this note in here that I think just sums it all up. Parkside takes a lot of shots. And when you can take a lot of shots, some days you're going to hit a bunch of them. And that's exactly what Parkside did last Saturday. 32 for 57 overall, 9 for 26 beyond the arc, and near perfect on their 3-point attempts, 7 for 8.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one for them. You mentioned the home series. One of the things I kind of wanted to call out here is I was actually listening, I think as I was driving back from the cruise. I think it was coming back from the cruise game. I can't even remember now. Kevin Breckmacher was talking a little bit about this one, and he was mentioning that home series that the Wayne State men's basketball team had just gotten off of against home against Saginaw Valley, then home against Roosevelt. And he said what we've been saying for a while. I'm sure he's been saying it for a while too. He knows it. He's been around the game for a while. He says you got to handle your business at home and you do your best to split away. The problem is when you lose a game at home against a team like Roosevelt, honestly, just the season that they're having and the growth pains that they're having coming up from D3 up to D2, you lose that one at home. Now, somewhere in there, that means you got to find a win on the road. This was that weekend to do it where you can immediately wipe away that bad taste in your mouth that you get from losing to a team that's pretty low in the standings on your home court, and they couldn't quite do it. And again, I didn't watch too much of this game to see like were we just given open shots or whatever, but statistically, it seemed like Wayne State put up a pretty decent effort in this one. It just, yeah, Parkside shot the ball a little bit. We protected the ball pretty well. Rebounding wise, we got a number of offensive rebounds in there, so we gave ourselves second chance opportunities. We defensively rebounded the ball pretty well. Did not get into foul trouble too much. So I mean, it's hard to really if you cover up over the Parkside box score, you're like, oh, I feel pretty good about that. But then you look up at the total score and you're like, never mind, don't feel so good about that.
Yeah, just a tough day defensively for Wayne State. We can talk about our point scores for a bit. Tamario Adley, Carmelo Harris, 16 and 14 points respectively. Rob Lee, not as much, 8 points. Carlos Paul III, 15. He was a perfect 7 for 7 field goals in this one. But unfortunately, Warriors as a team just come up short against Parkside.
Yeah, and we'll talk about them here in the second half, but they got to find a weekend sweep here at some point because these standings are getting a little bit spooky where you don't have much below you at this point, so to speak, when you talk about conference play. So that's the wrap up we got on basketball. We had a couple other sports going on. One of the interesting ones was our track and field team, the women's track and field team. They were split between two different events on Saturday, February 1st. They were up at Saginaw Valley for the SVSU Jets Pizza invite, but they were also at the Louisville PNC Lenny Lyles invitational, sorry. And both of these, there were no team scores. It was really just individual efforts here or relays, group efforts, whatever. But the whole team was not scored as a whole to find an ultimate winner. So talking about the SVSU event, a couple things in here. Lauren Wooten, Ava Steinhebel, Gracie Klink, Nicole Warren, and Michaela Stewart all ended up getting top 10 finishes in this one. Looked like it was a pretty stacked field here, like a number. So getting a top 10 finish in some of those events was pretty good. I saw, the Wayne State article, I think, called out a couple of them that how they relate to the school record. No school record set in that event. However, Sangster, moving on down to Louisville, Kentucky, Emily Gordon did set a record for the 1 mile run. It's a Wayne State school record that she set there, and I think she beat it by, oh God, I don't know. It looked like I think it was a couple of seconds there, but that was the big one from that one. Really interesting to see that. The one thing, like I immediately, of course, I go and look like, oh, what did Reagan Justice do? I don't think she was part of either one of these events. So, but yeah, Emily Gordon set a school record. So shout out to her. That's a very good performance.
Yeah, real good stuff from the Warriors here, especially that Louisville event, because you figure that one probably has a few more Division One schools competing at that one.
You certainly would think so. And I hadn't looked too much into it. I wanted to make sure that we got out that there was some good stuff from Wayne State. And yeah, there's a new name up on the board for Wayne State with a school record. So good stuff there. Speaking of giant events, though, Sangster, go ahead and take us into some fencing.
Well, speaking of Division One, yeah, we did have some fencing out in Evanston, Illinois, for the Schiller duels at Northwestern University. Men's fencing went 2-6 on the day. Zayad Nofal was the leader. He went 11-6 in his bouts. On the women's side, they also go 2-7 with Reka Galfalvi, the leader there. She went 18-6.
Yeah, it was a interesting weekend. I think this was a 2-day event, and I think like Detroit Mercy was there. They're usually there around for a lot of these events, so I think Wayne State was able to best them on both the men's and women's side, and a couple other teams, obviously, Northwestern being there. So good stuff from them. I was looking through a little bit of the names just to figure out, and it still seems like we're not dealing with our full fencing team right now. We have a couple of especially on the men's side, we don't have our full squad out there right now. So Mahmoud El Sayed, very interested to see when he's with the team. Again, on my side, I haven't really looked into too much of what he has going on right now, but I don't uh, almost positive that he was not part of this event. But nonetheless, I mean, going up to D1 and being able to get some of these teams, and I'm sure if we looked into some of the scoring, they were probably pretty close in a lot of these to where, yeah, 2-6 weekend record against the opposing schools. Maybe you're not that far off from a 3-5 record, maybe a 4-4 record. So really good things there. Love seeing some of the newer names. I mean, Ziad Nofal and Rika Galfalvi are newer names that we've been mentioning. So it's just another one of those like we got some athletes to watch over the next couple of seasons.
That we do, and we'll be able to see, I think, a little more of what Coach Tolners wants to build this team to be. Obviously, he comes in, I think, a little late into the season last year. Full off season under his belt now, especially going into more of it's going to be the conference championships coming up later. These are kind of just lead into it, and we'll be able to see what this team can do later on in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last sport that we had, Sangster, was men's tennis. Hard to believe. Really cool, though. We did get a chance to talk to Brian Morrow, as we already mentioned. So if you haven't yet, check out episode 85 to hear our interview with him as he talks about the team. And this is a team that's really dealing with some turnover right now. I mean, he talked about, spoiler alert, he has Daniel Gray on the team as a graduate assistant right now, being able to help out. If those who don't recall, Daniel Gray was a just absolute beast on the court alongside Cedric Drent, who is it seems like he's the captain of the team. I mean, he's really the one who's been around for a while at this point. His record, his accolades, all of that speaks for itself. He's a very outspoken guy. Coach Morrow talks about the fact that he's really stepped into that role, embraced that role, and we're really going to see, what comes out of that. As we have a lot of freshmen on this team. There's some good things going on already. As I'll get into it here in a second. So on Sunday, February 2nd, Lawrence Tech came all the way down the lodge, probably, I don't know, 10 miles, if that. They took on Wayne State inside the Duchesne Center, and Wayne State wins this one 6-1. Right off the bat, I already mentioned Cedric Drent. He's got a new doubles partner. That's George Day, who is a freshman. This duo, this doubles partners, they are currently ranked second in the Midwest and ninth in the nation. Now, Sangster, we know what Cedric Drent brings to the table,
Right.
but the fact that you get a freshman coming in and immediately they're second in the top 10 in the nation. What does George Day bring to the table? Like, that's pretty impressive. So to wrap this one up really quick, Wayne State won everything except for one of the doubles events. I think it was Louis Klaus was the one who, yeah, one of the singles exactly, and that one went pretty far into the distance. There was a lot.
To a tiebreaker. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's even battling in that one. So really good stuff there. Good first win, convincing first win for the Wayne State men's tennis team. So what else you got on the tennis team, Sangster?
Unfortunately, this one's not going to count. It's just an exhibition because Lawrence Tech is NAIA. But there will be more tennis in the next segment.
There certainly will. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. For those who aren't listening, for those who are listening in podcast land, we live stream on YouTube. So this is one of those instances where people on YouTube will get to hear a couple minutes of banter if they're interested in that. But for those of you listening on podcast land, we will take a quick break and we'll be back to talk about what we got coming up. Nice. Good stuff.
Yes, Surrey Bob.
Good stuff. Shared it out on the personal Instagram too.
Oh,
let the family see it if they want. If they don't. They have other things to do.
No. All there is Wayne State. There is nothing more.
Alrighty.
Grand Valley women's basketball has already clinched a GLIAC postseason berth
with like 8 games left, right?
Yeah. They're 12
So
and 0.
so even if they just like
They could
showed
lose
up and
a
like,
sport game and
nah.
yeah.
Jesus.
As it stands right now, Wayne State women's basketball would host a tournament game.
Because they're top four.
Yes, they're
Oh, nice.
tied with Northern for that third or fourth spot.
Well, this is a huge weekend for them. Holy smokes.
Yeah, we need that win over Northern.
And probably because I assume that means
That is six.
they're going to Saginaw as well, right? This weekend.
Yeah,
The Northern Attack.
yep. Be a chance for Saginaw to get buried.
Yeah, we definitely ooh, that would be nice. Cool. Well, that's good call out there. That'll get included here in the second half.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. We need anything else?
I think we're good. I've got the men's standings pulled up now, and yikes.
I got some stats.
Sick.
All right. Let's roll. And we're back. Start out again saying during the break, we were talking a little bit about some women's basketball and what this weekend means to them. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to talk about a little bit of basketball here. Our women's basketball team for the Wayne State University is 13-7 overall, and they are 8-4 in conference play. What we should pull it up to see what they were last season. I don't remember their conference record last season off the top of my head. But while Sangster's looking that up, I will talk about what they got coming up on Thursday. So on Thursday, Michigan Tech comes to Midtown Detroit and they visit Wayne State. Michigan Tech comes to town with a 9-11 overall record, and they are 6-6 in conference play. Kind of keeping it pretty high level here. Michigan Tech has a pretty good offense. And they give a little on the defensive side of the ball. So they're going to give you some things. Kind of by and large, the way that Michigan Tech, I think, as a whole kind of runs it, they shoot some threes. So I think that's why it kind of leads to them having a decent offense is they're able to get the space. They're able to get up enough shots from three and make probably, I could probably actually pull up the stat really quick. My guess would be somewhere between 30-35%, maybe a little bit more than that from the 3-point range. But what do you got, Sangster?
Well, you're not going to believe this. Wayne State women's basketball last year in the conference was 9-9. If you
So
recall, unfortunately, they kind of had that. They had a few losses kind of throughout, but unfortunately, they had that big, what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4 game losing streak to end the season, which really did not help them because they ended up having to face Northern Michigan in the GLIAC tournament first game. So, yeah, right now, Wayne State is just one win away from tying their previous conference season record, and you really don't want to see a big streak like they had last year. And the way that they're playing right now, I don't think we're going to see that.
no, I think I agree completely, and as I will always say, I love that this is the first game because this is that one where we talk about home games, handle your business on your home court, and this is one of those where I could look at probably most stats and say this is a game that Wayne State is probably better fit to win this one than Michigan Tech is to come into Detroit and win against Wayne State. That would be a really good one. But then again, you look at it and you're like Michigan Tech, they're currently sitting at 6-6. As we just said about the Wayne State men's basketball team, there's not much floor below them. There's not a whole lot more before they're on the outside looking in, and they don't want to be there. So, but they come into an environment and against the teams we talked about that really found their groove. They got some things going right now, and if Wayne State can keep those things going, they with this Thursday, hopefully win against Michigan Tech, tie their conference wins from last season with a lot of games to go, and that's a really cool position to be in.
Yeah, and they also have an opportunity on Saturday to follow it up against Northern Michigan. They come to town. They are 8-4 in the conference, 14-6 overall. That's important because as of right now, they are tied with Wayne State, both teams at 8-4. And I'm trying to remember, don't need to remember because I've got the schedule pulled up. Wayne State was able to get the win in Marquette by 1 point, 61-60 against Northern Michigan. So right now they've got the tiebreaker. We'll see if we can get the season sweep over Northern Michigan. Really important to get that win to get over Northern Michigan, who does have a solid team this year. Interestingly, that Wayne State did lose that game against Michigan Tech in Houghton, and right now Michigan Tech isn't as strong as they typically are.
Yeah, and talking like Northern Michigan, I mean, defensively, they are a lockdown defense team. I mean, talking about the number of points they give up, Grand Valley is leading the GLIAC with only 51.5 points given up per game, conference play, that is. Northern Michigan is not that far behind with 57. I mean, that's hard.
Yep.
But then you talk about like the fact that we went up and we already beat them. Now we're on our home court, much more friendly territory. Hopefully this is one of those we can get it. And like we're starting to feel really, really good about ourselves, thinking that there's not many teams above you after that. Like if you can get above Northern Michigan, know that you got 2 straight games against them. There's no tiebreakers, none of that stuff that we're going to experience with them. Now it's just Grand Valley and Ferris State, which, we're not playing them this weekend, so we're not going to worry too much about them. But Sangster and I can talk about them. They're a little bit ahead of us right now. So, we have an opportunity to take that third spot position. And I think we were talking, I think, Northern and Tech are going to be going to play Saginaw Valley this weekend as well. So we think so. Another tough place to play. Really, really good environment there. The fans really show up at Saginaw Valley. Hopefully they got our back this weekend and they can handle some business as well.
Yeah, that'd be nice for them to take Northern Michigan out for us. Talking a little bit of your number 1 and 2 right now in the GLIAC, that would be Grand Valley. They are undefeated in conference play. Actually, they have lost 1 game all season. So they've actually clinched a spot in the GLIAC tournament already with 8 games to play still. Your number 2 is Ferris State. They still have to play Roosevelt. If anything that I know about Roosevelt, they'll be playing on a Monday, so that's probably why they haven't played yet. Ferris State is 9-2, man. So Wayne State, they're basically 1.5 games out from them. If you can find that spot where maybe Ferris drops a game, Wayne State picks up a couple, you could easily be talking about Wayne State being the number 2 team in the GLIAC. As it stands right now, they're number 3/4, depending on probably number 3. But again, maybe we got that game against Northern coming up. Another big separation moment for this squad.
Yeah, you're exactly right. At time of recording, which is Monday, February 3rd, Ferris State plays Roosevelt today. And then this coming weekend, they're at Davenport and at Grand Valley. So tough stuff coming up for Ferris State. So, we'll see what happens there. We have no control over what happens, but if we had it our way, Ferris State would go 0-3. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, good call out there. Good find that those two have to play, and that will be happening. By the time you hear it, we'll already have the result of that one. So that's what we got for women's basketball. What do we got on the men's side, Sangster?
Well, men's side, they play the same opponents as usual. Right now, men are, again, 500 on the year, 10-10, 6-6. Thursday, they play against Michigan Tech, who comes in. They're very good. They come in with a record of 15-5, 10-2 in the GLIAC. Big note is that they beat Ferris State a couple weeks ago. They're still going to talk about that, and rightly so. They are pretty good this year. It's going to be a big ask, I think, for Wayne State to beat them. And right now, Wayne State comes in with that record of, I said that they came in at 500. Looking at the standings right now, Michigan Tech is your number 2. It's kind of going how the GLIAC preseason poll went. Lake Superior State is your number 1. Michigan Tech at number 2, both 10-2. Then you've got Ferris and Northern with 8 wins. Ferris still has to play Roosevelt. They'll be playing as we're recording right now. Parkside 7-5, unfortunately just lost to them. Grand Valley and Wayne State are both tied at 6-6. Right below Wayne State is Saginaw Valley at 5-7. Those are your top 8 teams. The bottom 3, Roosevelt 3-8, Davenport 1-11, and Purdue Northwest 1-11. Why is that important? As always, GLIAC for the GLIAC tournament, your top 8 seeds make the tournament. Wayne State's looking at number 7 right now.
Yeah, they got a little bit of work to do. And again, I mean, you think about that Roosevelt home game, or you think about this last away weekend, one of those wins there. I mean, just looking at the stats, that makes a little bit of a difference. That makes you feel a whole heck of a lot better when you're tied for fifth place versus, tied for sixth, eighth place, really not that far behind you. So that one game makes a bit of a difference. So yeah, that Michigan Tech team that we're playing on Thursday, you talk about it, thanks. I mean, they have a very well balanced team offensively and defensively. Just looking at conference stats, they're third in scoring both offensively and defensively. By the way, they have the leading scorer in GLIAC with Marcus Tomaszek, and he's been around for a little bit. That's a name that we've seen quite a few times. And, Michigan Tech's able to pull off some of these big wins. They were able to beat, I believe, Ferris State. We were finding out just maybe about a week and a half ago at this point. So they got some big wins in there. I'm with you. It's going to be a hard one, but if nothing else, at least we're at the field house for this one where I like our chances a whole heck of a lot better. But and it's not like we haven't been, a team to be able to rise up to these big games and win. We've done it before. Coach Smothers has definitely led his teams into those type of environments, and they've been able to win. But we got to do it regular season when it really, really matters to set yourself up for what are you going to do in the postseason.
Yeah, and last time out when Wayne State was playing at Michigan Tech, tough environment there. It's not like Wayne State got blown out or anything. 6-point loss, 74-68. Change a few things there between then and game time. They actually won the first half 27-26. Fortunately, the game got away from them in the second half 41-48. Just looking over the stats again, it was a tough 3-point shooting day for Wayne State. They were 3 for 12, good for 25%. The flip side of that is that they were able to hold Michigan Tech to just 6 for 16, about 38% beyond the arc. Michigan Tech was able to get everything, though, inside, just shooting right about 50%. Wayne State 43.6, dropped down from that 3-point stat right there. So, yeah, maybe at the field house, Wayne State can get some more shots. You're not dealing with the Michigan Tech pep band or their crazy fans that are out there. So, yeah, I definitely like Wayne State's chances more in the field house with this one.
Yeah, and then moving over to Saturday against Northern Michigan, they come in with a record of 14-6 overall, 8-4 in conference play. There's not a ton of drop off here. I'm just looking at some of these conference stats. I mean, that Northern Michigan defense is the best scoring defense. That meaning they give up the fewest points of all GLIAC teams, and offensively, yeah, they're smack dab in the middle. But there's not outside of some of those top teams, there's not a lot of separation there. So they're a quality offense, and looking at some of the standings here, they got a lot to go for. I mean, as we were just talking about the Wayne State women's basketball team, that one win gets a whole heck of a lot better in the standings. The Northern Michigan team, they're currently at fourth place in conference play. They're looking right at Ferris State going, if we have a good weekend, we could be looking at third place. And then second place is not that far ahead of that. So they know what's ahead of them, and they know that this game is one of those that, they probably feel like they have a good opportunity, and they probably want to avenge a loss that Wayne State was able to get at Northern Michigan. Never forget that one. That was a fantastic win for the team, but hard road trip. But I'm sure Northern Michigan wants to come down and at least even the series this season.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the game plan is for this game, because recall that the previous game against Northern Michigan, that was the Rob Lee Jr. 40-point game. He was outstanding that game, 10 for 10 from the free throw line, 6 for 8 beyond the arc, 12 for 18 overall. As a whole, the team shot 60% from a 3-point, 53% overall, free throw 78%, whatever. And they were able to limit Northern Michigan's 3-point shooting, just 5 for 20. That outstanding defense by Wayne State at this game. Will they be able to replicate that at the field house? And I love our team setting game day records, but maybe if we had a little more balanced scoring between maybe 3 dudes instead of just Rob, as much as I like to see records getting set. I think that'll be the key for a Wayne State victory in this one. Now, if we see one player go off for a lot of points and we still win the game, I'll take that all day.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's just get that win.
Yep.
And again, I'll say it again. I don't know when or if I'm being honest with you, we're getting Kareem back. This would be a fantastic weekend to get him back. I just don't know for sure if that's actually happening or not. I don't know his whole situation, but we could really use him in the lineup at this point. He's a guy that's on the roster. He's on the team. He's one that I know we were looking at to be able to play some minutes, but he's obviously dealing with some stuff right now. It seems like a back injury is what he's dealing with. So I mean, whenever we're able to get him back, whenever the time is right for him, I will welcome him with open arms because it's time we get someone like him back on this team.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little more Carlos Paul III though. He's been
Same.
he had a really good game against Northern that last time out. He had 18 points. He's had some really good games these past couple weeks too. So I think being able to get him out on the floor could be a big difference maker for Wayne State here.
I agree. I think I think it's even amplified by the fact like because we don't have Kareem, I truly do believe that Carlos Paul III is being asked to play a position that he doesn't normally play. Whereas normally he would probably play Ray Williams' position. He'd be the power forward essentially, the number 4 player. But he's not that right now because we just don't have the depth at the big man in the paint position. But like, man, if we get Kareem back, I do wonder if that opens up so much for Carlos Paul to be able to get out and play a little bit more where he's kind of comfortable playing. I don't know, but I agree. My eyes are on him right now. He had a good couple of games pretty recently.
For sure. That kind of wraps up basketball.
That's it. That's it for basketball, Sangster. Let's keep talking about indoor sports though. We got a couple of them still going on right now.
Well, we do have the women's indoor track and field season going on. Right now, they're headed out to Saginaw Valley State's actually really nice indoor facility for the WCW Warrior Wildcat Cardinal. You can flip whatever order you want that to be in. Invitational on Saturday, February 8th. This is pretty much a yearly thing that that these 3 schools do. I think it's almost just to kind of shut out Grand Valley because they don't want to hang out with them. That just seems to be the thing that they do.
Yeah. I don't really have much more to say on that one. I mean, it's kind of a cool event. I love the name of it. I think it's a super cool thing. It's been going on for a couple of years now. We're gonna keep it. A couple weeks in a row now, saying so we've been setting school records for this team. I
Yep.
mean, like this is kind of becoming a normal thing at this point, which makes you think like how far can this team go? I mean, we're really gonna find out as they take on some GLIAC opponents here. Like it's possible they could really kind of go pretty far as we get into as we get closer to postseason. We're not quite there yet. We can't rush that close.
Right. Yeah. Good warm up for opponents you're going to see at the GLIAC championships, which they aren't that far away, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah. So that's what we got going on there. We also got some tennis stuff. I was a little bit silent there for a minute because I was catching up on some tennis things over here on one of my screens. But let's start out with the men's tennis team. They had their first, exhibition of the, I guess technically indoor tennis season. I don't think it really is indoor or outdoor, but they're fresh off a win against Lawrence Tech. You don't have to wait too long. They're going on the road. They're heading on down to UIndy in Indianapolis, and they're always a tough opponent. Like regardless of what sport it is, UIndy seems like they are a little bit of a powerhouse when it comes to D2 sports. So we'll see. Our Wayne State tennis team, 0-0, brand new, starting out the season. Finally get into some of those scored and the games that matter when it comes to the standings as we come down the line. We talked a little bit about them, but the team that we haven't talked about yet is the Wayne State women's tennis team, and they're playing the same opponent. They're heading on down there with the men's tennis team on Saturday, February 8th, to go and play the UIndy women's tennis team. And what do we got on them, Sangster?
Well, you said it best. UIndy is one of the better teams in Division II overall, and their tennis program, both men's and women's, are no exception. Consistently some of the best in the Midwest. Usually they're hosting the Midwest regionals just because they're that good. And this is really going to be an early barometer, I think, for both these teams going against the best in your region, but really especially for the men, because to quote Coach Wheatley, they're not returning a lot of production this year. And you could say that literally. You've got two returners. You've got Cedric Drenth and Benjamin Hill. Benjamin Hill's a sophomore. He had an outstanding freshman season. Let's see what he can do this time around. But these are a lot of new guys that are here for Wayne State. And on the flip side, on the women's side, you've got a lot of returners still that put up great numbers last year, and they're still looking to keep on doing what they've been doing.
Yeah, I was catching up on that a little bit because we like I said, like I mentioned, we talked about Yasha Moore and Brian Morrow at this point, but yeah, that women's tennis team, they return most of the team at this point. I mean, with the exception of the one transfer coming in, which is Shantala from Walsh University, they basically like everybody that we talked about last season is back. Anna Isarsin, Dea Gorgic, Shanice Weeks, Martina Shpakovska, Malik Arafat, Desiree Obedencio, and Justine Ballou. They're all back with the team right now. So I mean, to me, the sky is the limit for this team. Like as far as they can go, this women's tennis team is a team to watch. And I think, tennis is a fun one, especially when we get to outdoor season, shameless plug, because we have awesome outdoor tennis courts. It's a really fun sport to follow along with, especially at the college level, because there's so many things going on at the same time. When the doubles are going on, you have three matches going at the same time. When you have singles, number of courts are, being a requirement here, but like you could have six matches going on at the same time and you could see all of them. And it's just there's not a whole lot like that. So a really fun one. Very, very excited to see what this women's tennis team does. It was awesome talking to Yasha Moore. So again, shameless plug. Please listen in on episode 85 as we were able to talk to both tennis head coaches.
Absolutely. And last but not least, a new sport has entered the chat. We've got baseball. Not
Play
here,
ball.
not here. They're somewhere a little warmer. They're at they're playing Newberry College in South Carolina this weekend, February 7th through February 9th for a 3-game series. It's going to be a while before Wayne State comes home to play, but for right now, you can watch them if they are streaming, which you would really hope they would be.
Yeah, it's first of all, Newberry's a new name. I looked at the previous schedules for the Wayne State baseball team. I have not seen that we've played them. I could be wrong, but it's definitely a new name. I feel like I've never said Newberry College in South Carolina before. But yeah, they're in a much warmer spot, which is why baseball is able to happen right now. And we did also have a chance to talk to Coach Ryan Kelly just a couple of weeks ago, talking about the season, what he has coming up, what his expectations are for the team. It definitely feels a little bit early to talk too much about baseball to me, but that has to not be the case for a second here because it's baseball season. I mean, this is one of the teams that we follow. This is one of the teams that has a very, very good track record of a lot of great season, goes on to regionals, nationals, and all that. And they're just a very good team and, fun to follow. Some big names we've talked about, like Hunter Brown pretty recently, Carter Fitzpatrick, a number of other names that have come through the program that have done very well for Wayne State, but have gone on to much more professional leagues and also done great things there. So clearly the program is doing something right. And, I think Coach Ryan Kelly is a big part of that. Him and his coaching staff really kind of know what kind of player to look for and how to get them to, really get up to that next level.
Yeah, they've been around the block coaching at Wayne State. I just looked. It does not look like Newberry has ever played. Wayne State has never played Newberry before. And correction, it is actually a 4-game set. Looks like there's going to be a double header on one of those days as well.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well,
So, fun fact.
what,
4
why
games.
why get into baseball season without having 4 games over 3 days?
Exactly. Best way to start out.
So that's what we got, Sangster. That
That's
is
it.
all of the sports, just another sport coming on in there. Big weekend for basketball. Another opportunity for a track and field team and tennis getting off to a start against, just a very, very good team down in Indiana. So a really, really big weekend for us. I know we'll be over at the field house this weekend for some basketball and we'll be following along a little bit with some of the other sports.
Yeah, it's going to be getting busy very, very quickly over at
Yeah.
Wayne State Athletics.
Yeah, we're smack dab in the middle of it now. So with that, we appreciate everybody listening in on episode 86 of the Warrior House podcast.
And remember, it's always a great day to be a Wayne State Warrior.